everyone. I am Shruti Singhal from ThinkQuestion Software Private Limited. Today in this session, we are going to understand how can we handle if we are opening a link and it is opening in a new tab. So how do we handle Windows? Then suppose if we have some pop-up that is appearing, that's called an alert. So how do we handle those alerts? And how do we handle iframe? So iframe is a frame inside a web page. It is an embedded web page inside a page. So we are going to understand that how do we actually switch our controls and how do we handle all these three things. So let's get started. So firstly, if I say that I have to handle Windows, so handling multiple windows in Selenium is very essential for testing any kind of web applications, which is going to open in any new tabs or any kind of pop-ups. So to handle that, we get so many methods, which includes get window handle. So all these methods are from the driver itself. So when we write driver.getWindowHandle, it retrieves the handle of the current browser window. So whatever current window is open, it gives us the handler for the same. Then next we have is get window handles. Suppose there are multiple windows right now that are open in a current session, then this particular method is going to retrieve the handles of all the open browser windows. Then this particular thing that is called as get window handles return us a set of strings. So this set of strings help us to store multiple windows that is returned by get windows handle. The next thing that we have is switch to. So whenever we are at a current window and we want to move our control to different window, in that situation we use this switch to method. So it switches the driver context between the windows. And accordingly, we have the action methods which is used to perform different operations on the active window. So this is how do we handle the windows. So we need to always remember that whenever we are switching our windows, we should always store the handler for parent window so that we can get back to the parent window. And if there are multiple child windows that are present, then we can use a loop through all the handles. So when we finish our work, we should ensure that we close the child windows and then we switch back to the parent. And it works for the tabs as well, because Selenium treats tabs as windows itself. So we need to remember these points when we are handling windows. The next thing that comes up is the alerts. Now, what are alerts? Alerts are the small pop-ups that are generated by JavaScript. So they are not HTML element. So you cannot inspect all of them with the browser developer tools. So to inspect them, we have a dedicated interface called as alert interface, which is used to handle these alerts. There are three different types of alerts that are present. The very first is simple alert. A simple alert is a pop-up which just has an OK button with it. So when you press this OK, that pop-up closes. The second type of alert that we have is confirmation alert. So this alert has two buttons available, that is OK and cancel. And the third type of alert is a prompt alert, which also have a text input along with OK and cancel buttons. So we have these three types of alerts present with us. And to handle these alerts, we have to first of all switch to the alert. So Selenium provides various methods to click on OK, cancel, or handle the text. So if you want to click on OK, the method is accept. Then we have dismiss method to click on cancel. If you want to capture the text that is present in the alert box, we get text method. And when you want to enter certain text, which you get in the prompt alert, then we have the send keys method. So these are the four methods that is present in the alert interface. Here also we have to remember certain things that whenever we want to interact with the alert, first of all, we need to switch to that alert. So if you try to interact without switching, then you will get an exception, that is no alert present exception. And if the alerts are coming dynamically, we have understood before also there is a kind of wait called as explicit wait. In that you can give some condition based upon the web element. So the condition that is provided for such kind of waits is alert is present. So you can use this explicit wait if your alert is appearing dynamically. The last concept that we have is, guys, iframe. So what is an iframe? So an iframe is also called as inline frame, which is present in the HTML document. So whenever you embed an HTML document inside an HTML page, that is called as iframe. So Selenium cannot directly access the elements inside a iframe unless and until you are going to switch to that iframe. So when you do so, you actually face an exception, that is no such element exception. If you try to locate any element which is present in the iframe, switch. So below is a tagging that is given for an iframe. So how do we write it? Inside this, we have a div tag, and in the div tag, we have created an iframe, which is an ID, a name, and some source, and we have some button present in it. So if you try to interact with this button without switching to the iframe, it will throw an exception. Now, guys, let us understand that how do we handle that. So whenever we want to switch towards an iframe, we get basically three methods. So the very first is switch to frame. So here we provide the index of that particular frame. So if there is only one iframe present, that will be the first iframe. Then we write down the index as 0. After that, we can switch to an iframe by using the name of ID. So therein we write down driver.switch to frame and we mention the ID on the name. Let us go back and you can see over here the iframe ID is button frame and the name is my frame. So you can use this button frame or my frame to switch or control this to this iframe. And the last way is, guys, by web element. So here you can just write down the web element for the iframe using ID name, etc. And then you can write down switch to frame and then you can pass this web element in the as a parameter. So these are the three ways by which you can switch to the frame. Now, when you want switching to the iframe, you want to go back to the parent frame as well. So when you want to go back to the parent frame, we have got two methods for the same. The first one is driver.switch to parent frame, and the second one is driver.switch to default content. So these are the two methods if we want to switch to the parent particular document again. Now again, we have some points to remember. So after you are switching, so always switch before locating the elements inside the frame. So if you're switching to an iframe, you must first of all switch to the iframe, then only you should locate the elements. And if there are multiple frames that are existing, then you have to count how many iframes are there. Then how you can do is, you can just write down driver.find elements by tag name iframe. So this is going to give you all the elements with the tag name iframe. And then you can use size method, which will give you the number of iframes present. And default content is mostly used after you finish your content or finish your work from an iframe. Then you move to your default content, that is your parent HTML document. So these are the three things that are present inside your particular HTML or whenever you are handling Selenium codes or whenever you are handling some web pages, you might experience something called as opening in a new tab, alerts and iframes. And how do we handle them practically? Now let us switch to the Eclipse and let us see how we can handle them better. So let's get started. So now guys, you can see the Eclipse screen being opened in front of you. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to handle the different windows over here. So I've already created a new package over here. Let me create a new class over here and let me name this out. Window handle. So I'm just going to use the name method over here. Here, I'm going to do what else? I'm just going to use the web driver, just the old ways, all the old things. Driver is equal to driver. And then we are going to write driver.get. And the URL that I'm going to use is, so here I'm going to use open source, this Orange HRM, that is a website. I'm just going to use this particular URL. So this is the URL that I'm going to use. Over here, I'm going to handle the windows. So what I'm going to do is, let me just copy this thing. We have this login URL. And let me just paste it over here. After opening this URL, I'm just going to put an implicit wait. Okay. So I'm just going to write down driver.manage.timeouts.implicitly wait of seconds. And then let me just write down driver.manage.seconds. So these are the initial basic steps that I have done. Now I want to get the window handle of this particular page. Now let us understand what is this window handle. So this get window handle is basically going to return this ID of a single window that you have opened just now. So how we can fetch it? So we will write down driver.getWindow handle. So what is the return type of this is? It is a string. That is an ID. So here I'm writing window. And now if I want to print it, I will just simply write the window ID is what is window. So let us just run this code to experience what does it give us. So over here you can see that it is basically opening this particular page. And let me just close it. And this is the ID of this particular window. So this ID is being basically returned because this is my main window. And that's the ID of this particular. So over here, we have just get the ID of this particular window. Now guys, over here, when you just scroll down over here, everything, you can see one link that is present over here, that is Orange HRM INC. Once you click on this link, a new window is getting opened, that is my human resource management. Now you can see this particular window is getting opened in the new tab. Okay, so let us just inspect this particular element. So this is the text. So I can just copy this text. And what I want to do is, once I get this window ID, I just want to open this particular link, right? So I'll write down driver.findElement link text. This is my link text. Okay. And what I want to do with this, I want to open it. So I will. So this link is getting open in a new tab. So just might be possible links are opening in the same tab. But over here, I've taken one example wherein the link is automatically getting open in the new tab. And now what I want to do is I want to fetch the ID of both the tabs that are open. So for that purpose, what I'm going to use is just put this thing. So the method that I'm going to use is get window handles. So how I'm going to use that method? So I will write down over here driver dot get window rows. So this particular method basically returns us a set of strings. So what is this set basically consisting of? It basically consists of all the window IDs. So now we have got all the Windows ID. So suppose if I want to know how many number of windows are open, so I will say number of windows is what? So we can use the method that is Windows IDs dot size. Is Windows size. So this is the method. So we have Windows ID and we have window. So this is going to give us, so let us see whether it is returning us true or not. So you can see my tab is getting opened up over here and the next tab is already also open. So if you want to pause the execution, I have already told you that you can use what? Thread.sleep in between. So this example can also explain you the difference between driver.close and driver. So over here you can see my two windows are right. So let us just use thread.sleep. And if I write down driver.close over here, what is going to happen? Let us see. So as I have explained you before also, driver.close just closes the current window. So you can see this link is open, right? And it has closed the current window. So which was the current window? It was the first window. The second window is still open. Why? Because we have not switched our control to the second window, right? But instead, your flows, if I use quit, then what is going to happen? So instead of close, if I use quit, you can again see the tab is getting open and the new tab is going to get open and both of them got closed. So that is the entire difference between driver.close and right? Now guys, let us just see that how basically we can iterate through all the particular windows, how we can fetch the details of all the window IDs that are open. So I'm going to tell you various ways for doing so. So the very first is you can use an enhanced for loop that goes to your Windows IDs and just you can print out this. Yes. So it is going to give you the ID of both the windows. This is one way of doing it. Now guys, there are many more approaches. So this is one way. Another way is you can also use iterator. So when I write iterator, when I write over here, the data type has string and we write itl is equal to, then we use, what is the thing that we have is Windows IDs dot write data. And now we know how we actually know here there are two windows. So we can also write like this, string main window is itl dot next and string child window is equal to we can actually write this, but it might be possible that we do not know how many windows are there. So this is the first approach that we're talking about, right? So we have got both the windows over here. And if I just want to print, I'll just write down over here that my main window is what? And child window is maybe child. So let us execute this much code first. Let us see from both the ways are we getting the handlers or not. So you can see both the windows are getting open. Okay. So let me see on the Eclipse, you can see this is from the first way and this is from the second way. We are getting the IDs from windows. So this is working perfectly fine. Now let us talk about how do we switch the control. Now if I want, so you have just seen the whenever I'm opening, my control is still on the main window, right? So how can you know that my control is on the main window? You can simply write down title is driver.get. And you can also fetch the URL. So that's completely your choice. Okay. So I'm just fetching the title. So if you run this thing again, so it is going to give you the title. So over here, just see the title is Orange HRM. And when you open the second window, the title is Human Resource Management. And let's see what title are we getting here. Yes, Orange HRM. So this is on the main window, right? This means that we are on the main window or the parent window. Now I want to fetch the title of my child window. So I will write as I will say private switch to. Then I'll say window. And then here, what is the name we have already stored? It is child window. So now if I try to fetch the title, then I will get the title of child window, that is Human Resource Management. Then what I want to do is I'm just going to pause my execution for 1,000 milliseconds. And I'm going to say driver.close. I'm just going to close this. Okay. So this is how basically we're going to do it. And then I want to get back to my what? I want to get back to my main window. So I can write down driver.switch to what? Main window. So again, it will go to the main window. And if we try to fetch the title again, it will again give you the title of what? The main window. This is how we will get it, right? And then I'm just using again a thread.sleeve. And finally, I want to, so you can use close also, but I want to close the transition. So let us run this. What is going to happen? So over here, you can see the link is getting open, right? And the switch has been transferred. So human resource closes first and then orange. And over here in the output also you can see first we went to the main window, then to the child window, and then again to the main window. So over here from the title you can actually see the difference. So this is our first approach how we can put it. So let me just comment this first. First approach. Okay. Now let us move towards the second approach. So the second approach is what you can do is you have got your Windows IDs from here. So from here, that is your driver.get window handles, you have got your Windows IDs. Now I do not know how many windows are there, and I just want to store according to whatever I'm getting. So the second way is what you can do is you can create an array list for the same. So how do we do it? We write down list of string. So window IDs, right? And we will say window list is equal to, how do we create an array list? New array list. And what is the collection over here that we want to pass? So we already have a collection of strings, which is now Windows IDs. So this is the second way. So over here, we already know what is the parent ID. It is driver window list dot get. See, that is my parent window. And what is the child ID? This window list dot. So this is another way, right? So whatever my window is open, again, if you want to switch, then you will write driver dot, because I'm on the parent window terminal. Switch to then window. And this is my child. It will switch to the child window. And then what you want to do? You want to again fetch the title of the child window. Right? Now, again you want to switch to your parent window. So you will write driver dot switch to window. That is my parent ID. Right? Again, you want to fetch the title of it. So you will get the title of parent window. And then what do you want to do? You want to close up it. So this is the second approach that you can actually use. So this is also going to work in the same way. I'm not using any driver or close up. So you can see the tabs are getting open, right? And let us see. So it has switched the control again to the parent, right? So let me just close from here. You can see I'm getting the that over here. So I can try doing the driver dot. Okay. Now comes the third way. The third way is what you can do is you can write down for string s goes to Windows and now here, suppose if you want to switch to a particular window and you know the title of that window. So how you can do? You can say string title is equal to driver dot switch to, okay, and then you will say window. So what is this window? This is your ID dot get title. So you're getting the title of all the windows, right? And you will say if my title dot equals, so I'm ignoring the case, is equal to what? Orange child. So this is a title that I'm taking, or you can say this title, okay? Just taking this one now. Then what do you want to do? Okay, you're switching. Then you are just getting the URL. So this is also how you can basically throw the things about things can be. Okay, so then I'm just going to sleep. Just give me a second and set. What? Let's run this code. So these are the multiple ways by which you can basically handle it. And this is quite smooth and quite easy to understand. Right? Switching your controls, going to the parent, just switching your controls and these things happen. So you can see what the label is like. Yeah. So this is how do we handle the labels. Next, guys, let's move ahead for the new class. Now we're going to handle alerts. So again, main method, then the driver. And wait a minute. So this time, the URL that I'm going to use is this alerts page. So herein, you can actually see that we have got 3 alerts. The very first alert is my alert with OK. This is alert with OK and cancel, and this is alert with expense. So when you click on alert with OK, this displays an alert box which says I'm an alert box, only OK option. When you click on alert with OK and cancel, you click on this box, there are 2 options, 2 buttons, OK and cancel, and here I'm also getting some text. Then we have alert with text box. When you click over here, you also get some text box over here. Let's say name over here. When you come to OK, this name is printed over here. So this is a dynamic element, right? Which is only getting into the picture once there is a alert that is getting alerted. So we are just going to handle these three alerts now. Okay, so let me just copy this particular site and paste it in here. And now the next two steps again is completely same. It is so you all must have depended on these two steps. Okay, but as to maximize the window and some numbers. So the very first alert is the simple. So for this, I'm just going to create some methods. Simple float. Go to server. Try. Okay. So let us call this method simple alert and let us send the driver. Okay. So now how to handle the simple alert? So the very first thing is whenever we are opening this page, let me just refresh it. You see it is already with alerted. Right? Whenever this page is getting open, this is already with alerted. Okay. So I just have to click on this button. So you can see this is a button with a class called as button danger and it also has text box. So I'm just used to use this CSS selector. Okay. You can use some different CSS selector if you want to. So this class I'm going to use and this will copy this class. How I'm going to write it? So the very first thing is that I have to manage the simple alert. So I'm going to say driver that find element and CSS select. Now in the CSS selector, what we told you is that whenever we have some tag with the class name, we can use dot. So we have two classes. Here you can just see btn and btn.danger. So I'm going to use two dots only. First is this one and the second one is this one. Okay. And then I want to click it. Okay. So if you want to pause the execution, obviously you can use clear. It's completely your choice. Now, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my alert. So I'm going to create this alert. This is an interface. Able is equal to I'm going to simply say driver dot switch to. So I've taken this alert. So if you just go on this declaration, simply find this four methods present in this particular instance. Okay. So now what I want to do is I have switched to this alert. And now I want to get the text of this alert. So I'm going to say this is some favorite dot get text. Right? I'm getting the text. This is the first method. Then I just want to have some sleep so that I can handle the triggers. Right? Use it for the triggers. So the same thing I do. So also. Okay. So this is my simple alert. And why putting a sleep because I want to see the alert. Otherwise, if it comes so fast and low, it will be able to see it. And then I want to accept it because I only have OK button. Right? So let us just run this program. Let's see how simple it is going to for us. So over here you can see the page is getting open a lot of times. And give this right. So this is how we handle it. Simple. Now, guys, let us move to the next alert that is the confirm. So I'm going to call the confirm alert from here. Now, when I want to call the confirm alert, you can see my page is into this. I want to first of all go into this button. So here I can see, what I can see is that there is some particular HREF that is cancel tab. So I'm just going to use this cancel tab. Okay. So just select this. Okay. So it is hash cancel tab. I'm just going to click over here. Then only I will get this particular option. So what I will do over here is go down. And first of all, I'm going to find this element. So I'll say try button. Find it. So you can use expert over here just for the variation of purpose. You can use CSS selector also. So it's an A tag, right? And we have Okay, so just going to change HR was equal to start. What do you want to do? To click it. Simple as that. Okay, so if you want to see this execution again, we can try that still float. Okay, now I have clicked on the cancel tab. Then what is going to happen? So again, I'm just closing everything. I'm using temporary sleep again and again just to see the execution. Okay. So now what I want to do is I will click on this. So this is a button family. Actually, we have used different classes for each button. So I'm just going to name it just button dot button. Here, the only thing is that is done here is timed. So we can just paste it here. So I'm just going to write it. So this is the particular button that I want to click, right? And then I want to again switch to the alert. I want to get the text, and then I'm going to say thread dot string, same thing. And then what I want to do. So there is something that is okay and accept that we can do. So let us just run this much of code. Okay. So I'm just following confirm. I'll show you the variations. You can see over here that it is going to go to the circle. Then it is clicking and I'm getting the OK. Now you press OK. So there is some text that is appearing. I will fetch this text. But you can see this particular text is now dynamic text which is coming once I click something here. It is coming in a PID that is called as dynamic. But this ID is only coming when this particular button is getting. Right? So I want to check the visibility. So what I can use over here, I can use explicit mode. So we have already seen the code of explicit mode. Let us see how basically we can make it. Okay. So how I actually am going to write the explicit mode? We have to write driver. Wait. This wait is equal to new that driver. Wait. We pass the driver. And here we write down duration of seconds. For how long? For maybe 20 seconds. Right? And then I'll write down wait until expected conditions. Okay, we have to use this class. And what conditions? Visibility of a particular web element. Now let us state the web element above it. So we have got a web element that is, let's say, the text, or you can name it as even element. What is it? It's driver.find element. Okay, so again, I'm using the CSS7. And the variation is there was a P with the ID dimension of the image. Okay, we can simply write, we can just write. So below here, I have to wait to the visibility of the button. Okay. And if this even is visible, we just want to fetch the text of this even. This is what we want to do. Right? So let's run this code and let's see what is going to execute. So just observe, guys. This particular page is getting open. Alert with OK and cancel is getting open. OK is cleared. Stupid case. Yeah. Let's go to the Eclipse and let's see. See if it is saying press. This is the text that I want to do. See. Okay. So what I have done, I have a small mistake. I did this for So let me just delete it from here. So we just run it again. So it has to come in the formula. So let us run it again. Okay, first okay, it's going to be file. You can see the text has getting whatever text we have is. Okay, so this is how basically we have to Now guys, suppose if I didn't press on OK, what is the second thing that we can even press, right? We can dismiss it. So if you want to cancel, we will press dismiss. So we can't press the two things simultaneously. So I'm just going to follow this thing. And now let us run it. See, my page is getting open. Okay, cancel over here. You can see the text that is appearing is you pressed cancel. And let us go to the Eclipse to see it's the same text that kept over here. So this is how basically we handle the problem. Now guys, let us come towards the last type of alert, that is prompt alert. Again, I'm just going to the method person and we just connect this. So the entire coding would remain same. Only it has an extra thing with it that is called as, it has got send keys method. Okay, so I'm just calling it. So let us just see the functionality first and then we'll go to the changes. So first of all, we need to click on this alert with text. This is the HRF hash text box. So I'm going to change the HRF over here with this text box. So you can copy and paste if you have the name of things. Okay. Then when we click over here, we get this particular button. So this has a class that is button info. Okay. So this entire thing is same. So that is why I'm just going to change this. Okay. Then we are switching to alert for getting the text. Okay. So this is going to click, we are getting the text. Now there is a small change. We switch to this alert. What we have to do? We have to send some data. Okay. So how would I do it from the Eclipse? So let us just remove the text over here. Say a1 dot send keys. So I'm just going to send name. Okay. And then the thread dot sleep. Again, we can press OK and cancel, right? And after that, we have another thing over here. When we press, we can get one dynamic element. But there, this has an ugly demo one. So entire thing will remain same. This done. We will wait for this element to appear. And then we will get the text. Right? And lastly, done with this here, whatever method I'm following. I'm just going to put a thread actually for the execution person. So this is how you should create methods to basically try what it happen. So right now I'm calling only prompt alert. So let us run this way. Let's see what is happening. Maybe automate. So you can see this is coming. Text has gone inside it. So there is no text that is available. That means there was some problem that has happened when I'm sending the text. Right? The text has not gone. You can see there's no text that is appear. Right? So you can see there is some session ID, there is some time because there was no thing, nothing was appearing. So let us see over here what we have done. So first of all, we have clicked on the text button. It was perfectly clear on the button. Then we were having the CSS selected button in the field. It's perfectly clear. Then we have taken the alert and we have written by switch to alert. We have written a1 dot send keys. Okay. And then we have written a1 dot dismiss. So that is why it was happening. Because see, this particular thing is not coming when we pressed enter. So that was the problem. So it is not the problem in the film. It's perfectly right. Fine. So you could not see because it was very quiet. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just remove this method, right? And I'll accept. And now let us execute it. Now you can see that text here, and you can see how we should receive it this time. And this text we are able to fetch it. So this is how basically the roads are. So right now we have discussed about two things. First is the windows. We saw how we can switch our controls with the tabs. Then we have seen the alert, and we have seen how we can switch our pin method. The last thing, guys, that we're going to understand is reframe. Again, the pin method. So the website that I'm going to use is a different one. So this is something that I'm going to use. It is a beautiful website having a lot of frames. It is a demo website, right? So this is a frame, this is a frame inside a frame. This is another frame inside a frame. Okay. So this has a lot of frames inside it. You know, which this website. Okay. Initial steps, like driver, Chrome driver, then driver get, paste this URL, and the main steps remains the same. Others. Okay, now we have opened the website, we have opened the implicit page and everything we have done. Now, guys, let's see how basically we can switch to the frames. Now, over here, let's inspect this one first. So you can see the inspections. You can see we have some frame number one. Okay, I'm just going to inspect this frame. Okay, this is in the center. So it has some form, it has some name, right? This is the form over here, right? So let us see what is happening. So you can see this is a frame set that has been used, inside which we have a frame. This frame has a SRC, that is frame underscore one dot string. That is for the first frame. Okay. So this is my frame. I want to get this web element. Okay? So we are going to switch to the web element. So this is my SRC, that is frame underscore one dot HTML. I'm going to go inside this particular frame. Okay. So how we can do it? So let us talk about the frame number first. So I'm going to write web element inside frame one is equal to driver dot find element. And then what is it? Frame element. SRC is equal to it was frame underscore one. If you don't remember the exact spellings and everything, you can just copy and paste it. Okay, this was the frame. Now, what I want to do is I want to send some text. So now I'm going to inspect this particular text box, which has some name. That is my text. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down thread.style. Then I'm going to write down driver dot find element. We can use CSS, XPath every time. We can use different operators to give comfortable string. There was an input. Text one. And I want to send the keys that is one. Right now, let us run this. Let's see what happens. So you can see the website is getting open now. But there is no text that is appearing in this particular text box because we have missed one thing. So you can see this session is basically there is some without exceptions, some unreachable browser. So let me just run it again. And let the exception appear in its own. Okay. Otherwise, it is going to give some different exceptions. Okay. So let us wait because we have put an implicit wait of 20 seconds. So it will wait for that particular element to appear for 20 seconds before throwing any exceptions, and that is why we need to wait. So whatever time of implicit wait you have given, it is going to wait for that project time before throwing any exception if I'm better. Now you can see the exceptions in here. Now we do not have any element, so it is not saying invalid selector. It says no such element. Which element? Why? Because this element is present in this frame and we have not switched our controls. So we have to write down driver dot switch to. Then we have to write down frame. And I'm going to use the last way, that is send. Right? Now let us run the code and see the difference. Okay. So now you can see the text is appearing inside this particular space. Right? So that is how we basically handle it. Now, if I want to go to my main page again, what I have to write down? I have to write down driver dot switch to. So if I want to go inside some other frame, I have to go to my main page. So this is my main page. Okay. Now let us talk about the frame number 2. So in the frame number 2 also we have a text box. This is the text box with some ID that is right. 2. So let us try for this also. So what I'm going to do, just going to copy this. So now I'm going to frame number 2. So you can see over here, inspect this frame. Okay, this is frame underscore 2. Let's see. I'm going to write here the same thing, frame underscore 2. And I'm going to switch towards this frame, that is 2. And then get sleep, and there is 2 here to send 7. And then again, let us execute. Okay, so you can see frame 1 is getting open. Then frame is going to be default content. So you can see and what the text box that is just getting. Now, guys, in frame 3, what you can see is there is another frame inside. This is 2 frames inside. So let us inspect this. So this is my frame number 2. So if you go into the body of this frame, just let me just try to see that. So just see this frame 3. Right. So you can see there is an iframe inside. See, this frame 3. So you have an iframe inside it. This is a frame inside a frame. So that's called an iframe. Okay. So we have an inner frame over here. So now how do we handle such kind of scenarios? So let us come towards the frame 3. So again, what we have to do is we have to find this particular frame. First of all, we will switch to the default content. Okay. So first of all, we will switch to our frame. Then what we have to do, we have to switch the control, we have to put it front to sleep. All these things remain the same. Switch our control to frame 3 to front to sleep. Pause the execution. And then we have a text box over here also. We're not talking about the frame. I'm just talking about the text box. This is the simple text box. We have text 3. This is again 2. Right? Let's say we are sending it here. Now, guys, there is one more frame inner frame. It's a frame inside. I frame. Now, how to deal with this? Okay. So Let's say there is only one frame, so what I can do, I can write down driver dot switch to preview, and I can pass the index 0. So 0 means there is only one frame, so you're just going to go inside that frame. Okay. When we go inside this frame, just scroll down. There are some buttons. Okay. That's high version. Okay. Low vision or unvision. These two buttons, which is inside this element. Okay. See, this is the div and this is the div. Okay. And these are two buttons over here. So let me inspect this. So it has got some span, some div, right? So let us see what all divs. This is a label, guys. This is the label for I9. Just draw it up. See the tower division that I have made over here. So you can see there is a for, right? And in this form, this iframe basically has a form. This has a body, this has a door, this reverse, right? Each of the division is having some of the other class that is written something or the other. So here we have iron queen. This is good. Okay. Just see the other one. So this is UI vision. Okay. So these are the radio buttons over here. So if I want to click on this radio button, I need to basically go to this one. So this has a class, you can see it, right? So this is a complete class of this particular version. So this class is basically coming from this particular class. So this one place. Okay. Just observe the things, how they proceed. If you are able to understand the proceeding, you'll be able to understand how other things are actually going on in the picture. Right? So let's just see over here. So now guys, suppose if I want to click on this video. So over here you can see it is like in this particular div class. This is my class and this is the span button that I have. Okay, I want to click over here. So this class has this span. Okay, so I'm going to use this particular class. And then I'm going to use the span. So I'm going to write the XPath is I'm going to say div at the rate class is equal to this particular class slash span. And I want to click on this. So this is only possible when you switch to this particular thing. Okay. So let's run this code and let's see whether I am able to switch to my iframe and whether this pattern is getting looked at. So this is a radio button. Okay. So you can see the page has purple. I have the first frame filled, the second frame filled. Now the third frame done. And you can see high and UI vision is getting. Okay. Now let's say you do the vice versa. Now just try to remove this line and you will see that you will get an exception. Okay, so because you need to go to this particular frame and then you have to click on this element. So for that purpose, what you need to do is you need to switch to that frame. So here we have switched by index. Now guys, again, once we do this, we need to switch our control to the default content. And lastly, let us just put a thread sleep and just. So this is how basically we handle that. by frames. So in this particular session, let's have a brief recap of what we have talked about. So now guys, in this session, the first thing that we have understood is the window handles, in which we understood that if suppose there is something that is opening the new tab, then we have got so many methods by which we can handle the window, like get window handles. And if I want to switch my controller, I have got the method driver dot switch to, and wherein I can pass my window in. Then we have to always ensure that whenever we are switching to the child window, we need to store ID of the parent. After that, we have understood about alert, in which we saw that alert is an interface and it has got a lot of methods inside it, like accept, dismiss, send keys, and get text. And also we have to switch our control to the alert to access those. Then lastly, we understood about frames, that whenever we are talking about frames, we need to switch our control with a frame via the web element, by the index, or the name or the ID of that frame. So these are the three ways. And we also have to switch our control back to the default frame when we want to switch to the next frame. So in the third code, we saw about all these things, and we also saw something about inner frame, which is a frame inside a frame. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you. Have a nice day.